Taewon Kim stood at the window of the small ship, looking at the huge space station. It hung in space like a giant metal flower, its many arms stretching out from a round center. Lights blinked all over its surface, showing that thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds lived and worked inside. 5 minutes until docking, said the ship's computer. Taewon took a deep breath and straightened his dark blue suit. As Earth's first ambassador to the Galactic Senate, he carried the hopes of the entire human race. After centuries of wondering if they were alone in the universe, humans had finally gotten their answer 2 years ago when alien ships appeared in Earth's orbit. The aliens had come in peace. They called themselves the Galactic Senate, a group of over 300 different intelligent species who worked together to maintain peace and share knowledge. Now, after many talks, Earth was being invited to join. Taewon felt someone stand beside him. Juri Park wore her formal diplomatic uniform. Her short black hair neatly combed, her eyes bright with excitement. "Nervous?" she asked. "Wouldn't you be?" Taewon smiled weakly. "I'm about to be the first human to address the Senate." Juri nodded. "Just remember what we practiced. Be respectful but confident. Earth deserves its place here." The ship shuddered, slightly as it connected to the docking port. A soft hiss filled the air as the pressures equalized between the ship and the station. "Ready?" Juri asked. Taewon nodded. "Ready." The door slid open, revealing a long, well-lit hallway. At the far end stood 3 aliens. The one in the middle was tall and thin with pale blue skin. The other 2 were shorter with tough, brownish skin that looked like tree bark. Taewon stepped forward, placing his right hand over his heart in the greeting they had been told was universal among Senate species. "I am Ambassador Taewon Kim of Earth. This is my advisor, Juri Park. We come in friendship, and with thanks for your welcome." The blue alien stepped forward. "I am Guide Master Han. Welcome to Senate Station 1. The High Council awaits you." Guide Master Han led them through wide hallways filled with the strangest collection of beings Taewon had ever seen. Some walked, on 2 legs like humans, others on 4 or 6. Some floated above the ground. Some had skin of every color imaginable. Others were covered in scales, fur, or things that looked like plants. "There are representatives from over 300 worlds here," Han explained. "All have proven themselves worthy of Senate membership." Taewon and Juri tried not to stare, but it was hard. A group of small furry beings with 4 arms each looked at the humans and whispered to each other. A tall creature that seemed made of living crystal turned its shining head to watch them pass. "The others are curious about you," Han said. "Humans are unusual." "Unusual how?" asked Juri. Han stopped walking and turned to face them. "That is what today's meeting is about. The Science Council has questions about your world, about your species." Taewon frowned. "Questions? I thought this was a formal welcome." "It may be," Han said, "if the Council is satisfied with your answers." Before Taewon could ask more, they arrived at a massive set of doors. Each door was 3 times the height of a human and covered in symbols that seemed to shift and change as they watched. "The Senate chamber," Han announced. "The High Chancellor and the Council await you." The doors swung open silently. Inside was a vast, round room with rising tiers of seats, like a giant bowl. In those seats sat hundreds of different aliens, all watching as the humans entered. At the center of the room was a raised platform with 7 seats. In the middle seat sat a being larger than the others, with gray skin and 4 arms. It wore an elaborate robe with shining symbols. "High Chancellor Tohyun," Han said quietly, "the most respected leader in the Senate." Taewon and Juri walked to the center of the room, feeling the eyes of every alien on them. A small platform rose from the floor for them to stand on. "Ambassador Taewon Kim and Advisor Juri Park of Earth," announced a voice that seemed to come from everywhere. "You stand before the Galactic Senate." The High Chancellor raised one of its 4 hands. "Welcome, people of Earth. We have studied your world from afar for many cycles. Today we meet face to face. Thank you, High Chancellor, Taewon said, speaking clearly so his voice would carry through the large room. Earth is honored by this invitation. Do-hyun nodded slowly. Before we formally welcome Earth to the Senate, there are questions we must ask. Questions about your world's unique development. One of the other aliens on the raised platform stood. This one had smooth green skin and large black eyes. I am Science Elder Junho, it said. My question is about Earth's predators. Juri and Taewon exchanged confused glances. What about Earth's predators? Taewon asked. Junho pressed something on the table before him. Above the center of the room, a large image appeared. A three-dimensional picture of Earth. Your planet had many large predator species throughout its history, Junho said. Yet as your own species evolved, these predators disappeared. Now humans are the only apex predator species on your world. How did this happen? Taewon hesitated, unsure why this mattered. Natural selection, climate change, some hunting by early humans. It happened over thousands of years. A murmur ran through the crowd of watching aliens. The High Chancellor leaned forward. You claim this was natural? Do-hyun asked. Of course, Taewon replied. What else would it be? Another alien stood, this one covered in what looked like golden feathers. Every other world in the Senate evolved multiple intelligent species. Every world has at least 3 apex predators that evolved alongside the dominant species. Yet Earth has only humans. This is not natural. Are you suggesting we deliberately killed off all other predators? Juri asked, unable to hide her surprise. We suggest nothing, Do-hyun said. We seek understanding. Either your species deliberately eliminated all competition, or there is something about humans that is different. Taewon felt a chill run down his spine. The friendly welcome was gone. Now the aliens were looking at them with something like suspicion or fear. Humans are not unusually violent, Taewon said firmly. We seek peaceful relations with all species. Tall, thin alien with skin like polished wood stood up from the audience. Yet your history is full of war and conquest. You dominate your world completely. No other species has done this without deliberate extermination programs. That's not true, Juri protested. We've worked hard to preserve Earth's biodiversity. The High Chancellor raised a hand for silence. We do not accuse, we inquire, but this matter must be resolved before Earth can join the Senate. A new alien approached the central platform. This one looked almost human except for its silvery skin and completely white eyes. I am Senator Young-mi, it said. I propose the trials of Kalar. A shocked silence fell over the Senate chamber. Even Guidemaster Han looked surprised. The trials have not been invoked in 500 cycles, Do-hyun said slowly. What are the trials of Kalar? Taewon asked quietly. Do-hyun looked directly at him. A test, to show your species' true nature. If humans pass, Earth will be welcomed to the Senate without further question. And if we fail? Juri asked. The High Chancellor's 4 eyes blinked slowly. Then we will know that humans are indeed the predators we fear you may be. The image of Earth still hung in the air above them, spinning slowly. Taewon looked at it, then at the hundreds of alien faces watching him. We accept the trials, he said firmly. Earth has nothing to hide. As those words echoed through the vast chamber, Taewon wondered if he had just made the biggest mistake of his life. 2 days after the Senate meeting, Taewon sat in the small room that had been given to the Earth delegation. The walls were plain white, the furniture simple, but comfortable. Through the single window he could see part of the huge space station and the stars beyond. They think we're monsters, he said quietly. Juri looked up from her datapad. They're afraid of us, that's different. Why? We've done nothing to them. It's not what we've done to them, Juri explained. It's what we might do. Think about it. Every other species in the Senate evolved alongside multiple intelligent species and other apex predators. On their worlds, power is shared, but on Earth it's just us. Taiwan finished. The door chimed softly, then slid open. Guide Master Han entered, followed by another alien Taiwan hadn't seen before. This new alien was shorter than Han, with skin that shimmered between blue and green like the ocean on a sunny day. Ambassador Kim, Advisor Park, Han said with a small bow. This is Senator Ji-ho of the Membership Committee. Ji-ho stepped forward. I have come to explain the trials of Kalar, and to help you if I can. Taiwan gestured to the empty seats. Please join us. Once they were all seated, Ji-ho began to speak. His voice was deeper than Han's, with a slight echo. The trials of Kalar are an ancient tradition, rarely used now. They come from the early days of the Senate, when different species were still learning to trust each other. What exactly are these trials? Juri asked. Kalar is a planet at the edge of Senate space, Ji-ho explained. It has conditions similar to Earth, gravity only slightly stronger, breathable air, water, plants. But Kalar is also home to some of the most dangerous predator species in known space. Taiwan felt a chill. And you want us to go there? Ji-ho nodded. 3 representatives from Earth must survive on Kalar for 3 standard days. You must reach a designated extraction point 30 kilometers from your landing site. Why? Taiwan asked. What does this prove? How you handle yourself on Kalar will show your true nature, Han said. Will you kill everything in your path? Will you run and hide? Or will you find another way? Ji-ho leaned forward. Many in the Senate believe humans must have some special killing ability or unnatural aggression to have become Earth's only apex predator. They fear what you might do if welcomed into the wider galaxy. That's ridiculous, Juri said. We're not some super predators. Then prove it, Ji-ho replied simply. Show us who humans really are. After Ji-ho and Han left, Taiwan and Juri sat in silence for a long time. We need to choose carefully who goes to Kalar, Juri finally said. The Senate will be watching everything we do there. Taiwan nodded. I have to go. As Earth's ambassador, I must face this challenge. You'll need help, Juri said. People with the right skills. They spent the next few hours calling Earth, explaining the situation to the United Earth Council. The Council agreed with their assessment. This was both a challenge and an opportunity. If humans passed the trials, Earth would join the Galactic Senate. If they failed, Earth might be seen as a threat rather than a potential ally. By morning, they had their team. Captain Sunwoo Lee, a veteran Special Forces soldier with survival training on 6 continents. Dr. Minji Kang, Earth's leading expert on animal behavior and ecology, and Taiwan himself, to represent Earth's diplomatic hopes. 3 days later, a sleek silver ship carried them from the Senate station toward the distant planet Kalar. Captain Sunwoo spent the journey studying maps of the planet provided by the YAI Senate. Dr. Minji reviewed everything known about Kalar's life forms. The rules say we can only take basic tools, Sunwoo explained as he laid out their equipment. Nothing powered, nothing that couldn't be made by a basic industrial society. He showed them what they would have: knives made of strong carbon fiber, basic rope, water containers, fire-starting tools, a medical kit with only simple medicines, and clothes made to protect against heat, cold, and minor injuries. No guns? Taiwan asked. Sunwoo shook his head. No guns, no energy weapons, nothing explosive. He picked up one of the knives. We'll have these for protection, but I hope we won't need to use them much. Minji looked up from her datapad. According to these records, Kalar has at least 12 different predator species in the zone we'll be traveling through. Some hunt alone, others in packs. Some are as small as wolves, others larger than Earth's extinct mammoths. Can we avoid them? Taiwan asked. Maybe, Minji said. But I think that's not the point of the trials. The Senate wants to see how we deal with predators. Sunwoo nodded. They think we wiped out all Earth's predators through violence. They expect us to try to kill everything we see on Kalar. Then we need to surprise them, Taiwan said firmly. The ship's AI announced they would reach Kalar in 6 hours. As the others prepared their equipment, Taiwan went to the viewing room at the front of the ship. Through the large window, he could see Kalar growing larger. It looked a lot like Earth. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown landmasses. He heard someone enter the room and turned to see a silver-skinned alien with white eyes. Senator Young-Mi, the one who had suggested the trials in the Senate. "Chamber, why are you here?" Taewon asked. "To observe," Young-Mi replied. "Every species that faces the trials has an observer. I will watch, but I cannot help you. You don't like humans very much, do you?" Young-Mi's expression didn't change. "I neither like nor dislike humans. I am concerned about what humans might become. Every predator species that joins the Senate brings risk. We're not just predators," Taewon said. "No?" Young-Mi turned fully toward him. "Your kind spread across your world faster than any species we have ever encountered. Where you went, other large creatures vanished. You reshape environments to suit yourselves. You consume resources at an astonishing rate. If not predators, what are you?" Taewon thought carefully before answering. "We're explorers, builders. We're curious about the universe and all the life in it. Yes, we've made mistakes on our world, but we've learned from them." Young-Mi made a sound that might have been a short laugh. "We shall see what you are on Kalar. The planet has a way of revealing truth." Hours later, the ship entered Kalar's atmosphere. Taewon, Sunwoo, and Minji gathered their gear and stood by the exit door. Through small windows, they could see a vast forest of strange purple-green trees spreading to the horizon. "Remember," Sunwoo said as the ship descended, "we have 3 days to travel 30 kilometers. We stick together. We move carefully. We only fight if there's no other choice." The ship landed softly in a small clearing. As the door opened, warm air filled with new smells rushed in. The 3 humans stepped onto the soil of Kalar, the first Earth people to set foot on this distant world. Senator Young-Mi stood in the ship's doorway. "The extraction point is north. A beacon will activate on the 3rd day to guide you. May your true nature serve you well." The ship's door closed, and moments later, the vessel rose into the sky, quickly becoming just a silver dot among the clouds. "Well," Minji said, looking around at the alien forest. "Here we are." Sunwoo was already checking the basic compass they had been allowed. "North is that way. We should find a water source before nightfall." As they prepared to move out, Taewon noticed something watching them from the edge of the clearing, a pair of yellow eyes and a face covered with short blue fur. The creature was about the size of a large dog, with 6 legs and a long tail. "We're being watched already," he said quietly. Sunwoo nodded without looking up. "Yes, and not just by that one. We're being hunted." Minji smiled. "Then let's show the galaxy what humans are really made of." Together, they walked into the alien forest, aware that their every move was being recorded and that the future of Earth and the galaxy might depend on what they did in the next 3 days. The forest of Kalar was unlike any on Earth. The trees grew in spirals rather than straight up. Their bark was smooth and dark purple. Their leaves were huge and shaped like stars, colored a deep blue-green. Strange bird-like creatures with 4 wings flew between the branches, making sharp whistling calls. Taewon, Sunwoo, and Minji moved carefully through this alien landscape. Sunwoo led the way, compass in hand, slashing marks on trees with his knife to mark their path. Minji walked in the middle, studying everything around them with keen eyes. Taewon took the rear position, constantly looking back to make sure nothing was following them. "There's water ahead," Sunwoo said after they had walked for about an hour. "I can hear it." They pushed through a thick patch of fern-like plants and found a small stream. The water was clear and ran over smooth purple stones. Minji knelt and tested the water with a small device from her pack. "It's safe to drink," she announced. "Similar to earth water, just with different mineral content." They filled their containers and drank deeply. The Kalar water tasted slightly sweet with a hint of something like mint. "We've covered about 3 kilometers, Sunwoo said, checking the sun's position. "We need to find a safe place to spend the night soon." "Safe from what?" Taewon asked. We still don't know what kind of predators are out here. As if answering his question, a loud roar echoed through the forest, making the ground shake slightly. It came from somewhere ahead of them. That sounded big, Minji said quietly. Sunwoo nodded. Very big. Let's move away from its territory. They turned to follow the stream in a different direction, hoping to avoid whatever had made that sound. But after walking for another kilometer, Minji suddenly held up her hand for them to stop. Look at the ground, she whispered. Large tracks marked the soft earth near the stream. Each print was the size of a dinner plate, with 3 toe-like marks at the front and strange circular impressions behind. Something big drinks here regularly, Sunwoo said, studying the tracks. Recently, too, these are fresh. We should find somewhere else to go, Taiwan suggested. Minji was looking around carefully. No, I have a better idea. This is perfect. Perfect? For what? Sunwoo asked. For showing the Senate how humans really handle predators, Minji said with a smile. Let's make camp here. Here? Taiwan couldn't hide his surprise. Near these tracks? Minji nodded. Trust me, I have a plan. Sunwoo looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, but we do it carefully. For the next 2 hours, they worked together following Minji's instructions. They built a small shelter high in the branches of one of the spiral trees, using rope to secure platforms made from smaller branches. Then they gathered stones from the stream and built a circle on the ground near the animals' tracks. Now we need food, Minji said. But we don't hunt. We gather. They found fruit growing on some of the smaller trees. Round purple things, with tough skins but soft, sweet insides. Minji tested these and declared them safe to eat. They also discovered something like nuts growing in patches on the ground. As the Kalar sun began to set, turning the sky a deep orange red, they climbed up to their tree shelter. From this height, they could see for some distance through the forest. The tree platform was hidden by the star-shaped leaves, making it hard to spot from the ground. Now we wait, Minji said. For what? Taiwan asked. For our visitor, she replied, the one who made those tracks. Night fell quickly on Kalar. The darkness was nearly complete except for a strange blue glow that came from patches of moss growing on some of the trees. 3 small moons rose, casting faint silver light through the forest. They took turns keeping watch. Sunwoo went first, then Taiwan, then Minji. It was during Minji's watch, just before dawn, that their visitor arrived. Wake up, Minji whispered, gently shaking the others. It's here. They moved carefully to the edge of the platform and looked down. In the faint moonlight, they could see a massive creature drinking from the stream. It stood on 6 thick legs, each ending in 3-toed feet. Its body was covered in what looked like armored plates. Its head was large and flat with small eyes that glowed yellow in the darkness and a mouthful of sharp teeth. That must be the biggest predator on this part of Kalar, Sunwoo whispered. The creature suddenly lifted its head and sniffed the air. It had caught their scent. With a low growl, it began to move toward the base of their tree. What do we do now? Taiwan asked, trying to keep his voice calm. We show the Senate that humans don't need to kill to survive, Minji replied. She pulled something from her pack, one of the purple fruits they had gathered earlier. Carefully, she tossed it into the stone circle they had built on the ground. The fruit landed with a soft thud. The creature immediately turned toward the sound, moving away from their tree. It approached the stone circle cautiously, sniffing at the fruit. Watch, Minji whispered. The creature bent its head and ate the fruit in one bite. Minji threw another fruit, this one landing a few meters away from the circle. The creature followed, eating that fruit too. You're leading it away, Taiwan realized. Minji nodded. Many predators will take an easy meal over a difficult hunt. We're not threatening it or challenging it, we're just redirecting it. One by one, Minji threw more fruits, creating a trail leading away from their position. The huge predator followed, moving deeper into the forest until it disappeared from sight. That was brilliant, Sunwoo said. It's what humans have always done best, Minji explained. We observe. We understand. Then we use that knowledge to solve problems without unnecessary conflict. As dawn broke on Kalar, turning the sky a beautiful shade of purple, they climbed down from their shelter and continued their journey north. They moved more confidently now, having survived their first night and their first encounter with a Kalar predator without violence. They had covered about 5 more kilometers when Sunwoo suddenly stopped, raising his hand in warning. Ahead of them, the forest opened into a wide clearing. In that clearing was a scene that made them all freeze. At least 20 smaller predators, each about the size of a wolf but with 6 legs and blue fur, were gathered in a tight circle. They moved with clear purpose, working together in a way that seemed almost planned. "They're pack hunters," Minji whispered, "and very intelligent from the look of it." "Can we go around them?" Taewon asked. Sunwoo studied the terrain. "It would add hours to our journey. We need to get through this clearing." "Then we need a new plan," Minji said. "These aren't like the big one from last night. They hunt in groups and they're smart. Fruit won't distract them." The 3 humans retreated into the forest to think. Their next challenge would be much harder than the first. And somewhere, they knew, the Senate was watching everything they did. "I have an idea," Taewon said after a few minutes of thought. "It's risky, but it might work." Sunwoo and Minji leaned in close as Taewon explained his plan. It was daring, clever, and completely unexpected, just the kind of thing that might show the Galactic Senate what humans were really capable of. "Are you sure this will work?" Sunwoo asked, looking doubtfully at the pile of materials they had gathered. "No," Taewon admitted, "but it's worth trying." They had spent the last hour collecting everything they needed for Taewon's plan. Straight, branches from fallen trees, vines that hung from the spiral trees, stones from the stream, and several of the purple fruits. "The pack hunters are still in the clearing," Minji reported, returning from her scouting mission. "They seem to be waiting for something." "Then we don't have much time," Taewon said. "Let's get to work." Following Taewon's instructions, they used the vines to tie the branches together, creating 3 large frames. Each frame was about as tall as a person and nearly as wide. "Now the hard part," Taewon said. They cut more vines and wove them through, the frames making a net-like pattern. Then they attached the remaining vines to the top of each frame. "Decoys," Sunwoo said, nodding with understanding. "Clever." "More than decoys," Taewon explained. "Distractions." When they finished, they had 3 strange-looking structures. Each one could be lifted using the long vines attached to the top. From a distance, they might look like strange creatures moving through the forest. "We still need one more thing," Minji said. She knelt and began to dig in the soft earth with her knife. "What are you doing?" Taewon asked. "Making a trap," Minji replied. "Not to hurt them, just to confuse them." She dug a shallow pit about 2 meters across and half a meter deep. Then she covered it with a thin layer of branches and leaves, making it look like solid ground. On top, she placed 2 of the purple fruits. "Perfect," she said, stepping back to examine her work. "Now let's get into position." They moved to the edge of the clearing, staying hidden among the trees. Each of them took hold of one of the decoy frames and the vines attached to it. "Remember," Taewon said quietly, "we don't want to scare them away. We just want to control where they go." "On my count," Sunwoo said. 3, 2, 1, now." They lifted their decoys and moved them slowly into the clearing. From a distance, the frames with their vine nets might look like strange new creatures entering the pack hunters' territory. The reaction was immediate. The blue-furred hunters turned as one, their yellow eyes fixed on the 3 new shapes at the edge of their clearing. They made sharp barking sounds to each other, clearly communicating. "They're organizing," Minji whispered. "See how they're splitting into groups?" She was right. The pack was dividing, with some moving to the left, others to the right. They were trying to surround the newcomers. "Just as I hoped," Taewon said. "They're smart. They work together, just like humans do." "Phase 2, Sunwoo said. They began to move their decoys in different directions. Taewon went left, Sunwoo went right, and Minji moved straight ahead. The pack hunters followed, continuing to split into smaller groups. They're so focused on the decoys they don't realize we're behind them, Minji said. It was working perfectly. The pack hunters were now spread thin across the clearing, each small group following one of the strange moving shapes. Now, Taewon called. They dropped their decoys and ran forward together straight toward the center of the clearing. The path was now open because most of the hunters had moved to the edges. The hunters quickly realized what was happening. With angry howls, they turned and raced back toward the humans. But the humans had a head start. As they ran, Minji tossed the remaining purple fruits behind them. Some of the hunters stopped to sniff and eat the fruits, slowing the pack's pursuit. Get ready to jump, Minji shouted as they approached the center of the clearing where she had dug the pit. The three humans leaped over the covered pit. Behind them, the first of the pursuing hunters landed right on the thin cover of branches and leaves. It broke, under the creature's weight, causing it to fall into the shallow pit with a surprised yelp. Other hunters stopped at the edge of the pit, confused by what had happened to their packmate. The trapped hunter wasn't hurt, but it was struggling to climb out of the soft earth. This confusion gave the humans the time they needed to reach the far side of the clearing and disappear into the trees on the other side. They kept running for several minutes, putting distance between themselves and the pack. When they finally stopped to rest, they were all breathing hard but smiling. We did it, Taewon said between breaths. Without hurting any of them, Minji added. Sunwoo nodded. We outwitted them. Used their own hunting tactics against them. The Senate must be taking notes. They continued their journey north, covering several more kilometers before the Kalar sun reached its highest point. The terrain began to change, with the forest giving way to rolling hills covered in tall yellow grass. We're making good progress, Sunwoo said, checking the compass. At this rate, we'll reach the extraction point by tomorrow afternoon. Wonder what the Senate thinks of us so far, Taewon said. They're probably surprised, Minji replied. We haven't killed anything. We haven't even tried to fight. That's not what they expected from the species that became Earth's only apex predator. As they walked through the tall grass, the heat of the day grew stronger. The Kalar sun was more intense than Earth's, making the air shimmer above the yellow grassland. We need to find water and shade, Sunwoo said, wiping sweat from his forehead. They changed direction slightly, heading toward a line of trees they could see in the distance. But before they could reach it, Minji suddenly grabbed Taewon's arm. Don't move, she whispered. Look down, slowly. Taewon looked at the ground and felt his heart race. The grass around their feet was moving, but not from wind. Something was slithering between the yellow stalks, many somethings. Snake-like creatures. Minji said very quietly. Dozens of them. Now that he was looking carefully, Taewon could see them. Long, thin animals with shiny black scales. They moved in perfect coordination, weaving through the grass in patterns that seemed almost planned. They're all around us, Sunwoo said, his voice calm despite the danger. We can't go back, and we can't stay here. Are they hunting us? Taewon asked. Minji shook her head slightly. I don't think so. Not yet. I think we've walked into their territory. They're warning us. What do we do? Taewon asked. We need to show respect, Minji said. These aren't mindless predators, they're intelligent. They're communicating with each other. Very slowly, Minji knelt in the grass. The snake-like creatures moved back slightly, giving her space. I'm going to try something, she said. It might seem strange, but trust me. Minji began to move her hands in a pattern that matched the movement of the creatures. Left, right, circle, pause. Left, right, circle, pause. Over and over. The creatures stopped moving. They seemed to be watching her. They use patterns to communicate, Minji explained quietly. I'm trying to tell them we understand and respect them. After a tense minute, something extraordinary happened. The creatures began to move again, but now they were creating a clear path through the grass, a path that led toward the trees they had been trying to reach. They're showing us the way, Minji said with wonder in her voice. Or leading us into a trap, Sun Wu said. I don't think so, Taiwan replied. I think they're like us. They solve problems with intelligence, not just strength. Carefully, they followed the path created by the snake-like creatures. The path led straight to the line of trees, and beyond that, to another stream of clear water. When they reached the trees, the creatures disappeared back into the grass. Their message delivered, their territory respected. 3 different predator species, Taiwan said as they drank from the stream, and we didn't fight any of them. We didn't need to, Minji replied. We found better ways. As the second day on Kalar came to an end, they made a new camp in the trees. They were more than halfway to the extraction point now. But the hardest part of their journey was still to come. That night, as Taiwan took his turn keeping watch, he saw something moving at the edge of the grassland. Something much larger than the snake creatures. Something that walked on 2 legs and had a shape, almost like a human. The Senate had saved their greatest challenge for last. I saw something last night, Taiwan told the others as they ate their breakfast of purple fruits. A creature that walks on 2 legs like us. Sun Wu looked up sharply. How big? Taller than a human, maybe 2.5 meters. It moved, like it was intelligent. Minji nodded slowly. That must be the apex predator of this region. The Senate has saved the hardest challenge for our final day. The morning sun cast long shadows through the trees as they packed up their few belongings. According to Sun Wu's calculations, they were about 10 kilometers from the extraction point. They could reach it by afternoon if they moved quickly and didn't face any major delays. The beacon should activate soon, Sun Wu said, looking at the position of the sun. That will guide us to the exact location. They set off, moving through the edge of the forest where it met the grassland. This path gave them some cover, while allowing them to see what might be approaching from the open ground. After an hour of walking, a soft beeping sound came from the small device Sun Wu carried. The extraction beacon had activated, sending out a signal they could follow. It's working, Sun Wu said. The extraction point is directly north of us, about 8 kilometers away. They increased their pace, motivated by the thought of completing their challenge, but all 3 remained alert, knowing that the 2-legged creature Taiwan had seen might be watching them. Around midday, they reached a new part of the forest. Here the spiral trees grew much taller and thicker. Strange glowing fungi grew on, their trunks giving off a soft blue light even in daylight. The air feels different here, Minji said, looking around with a scientist's curiosity. Cooler, damper. I don't like it, Sun Wu replied. Too many shadows, too many places something could hide. They moved carefully, staying close together. The beeping of the beacon device grew slightly louder, telling them they were getting closer to their goal. Suddenly, Sun Wu stopped and held up his hand, signaling the others to freeze. Ahead of them, something moved in the shadows between the trees, something tall and thin. There, Sun Wu whispered, pointing. Now they all saw it, a creature standing upright on 2 long legs. Its body was slender but looked strong, covered in what seemed like short gray fur. Its arms were longer than a human's, ending in hands with 4 fingers. Its face was flat with large, round eyes that reflected the blue light of the fungi. The creature watched them without moving, without making a sound. What do we do? Taiwan asked quietly. We can't go around it, Sun Wu said. The extraction point is straight ahead. Minji studied the creature. Look at its eyes. There's intelligence. There. This isn't just an animal acting on instinct. As if responding to her words, the creature made a series of clicking sounds with its mouth. Then it pointed one long arm deeper into the forest. I think it wants us to follow, Taiwan said. Or it's leading us into a trap, Sun Wu replied. We've been lucky so far, but this could be different. Minji shook her head. I don't think it's a trap. The Senate wouldn't end the trial that way. This is a test of how we interact with an intelligent predator species. After a moment of thought, Taiwan stepped forward. We follow, but stay alert. The creature watched them approach, then turned and began walking deeper into the forest. Its movements were smooth and graceful despite its odd proportions. They followed at a safe distance. The creature led them through the forest for about 20 minutes, occasionally stopping to make sure they were still following. Finally, they reached a clearing. In the center stood a tall stone structure that looked like it had been built by intelligent hands, a perfect pyramid about 5 meters high. The creature stopped at the edge of the clearing and pointed at the pyramid. Then it melted back into the forest, disappearing from sight. The extraction point must be near here, Sun Wu said, checking the beacon device. The signal is very strong. But Minji was staring at the pyramid. Look at the symbols carved into it. This wasn't built by accident. They approached the structure carefully. The stone surface was covered in strange markings, circles, lines, and shapes that seemed to form a pattern. It's a puzzle, Taewon said suddenly. The extraction point is probably inside or on top of this pyramid, but we need to figure out how to open it. They walked around the pyramid, studying the markings. Minji traced some of them with her fingers, a look of concentration on her face. These symbols remind me of the patterns the snake creatures made. In the grass, she said. I think they're a form of communication. Sun Wu examined the base of the pyramid. There's no obvious door or opening. We need to trigger something. Taewon stood back, looking at the whole structure. Then he noticed something. The symbols are different on each side, he said, but they all seem to lead to the top. Minji's eyes widened. It's not just a puzzle, it's a story. Look, these marks show different predators. Here's the big 6-legged one we saw on the first night. Here are the pack hunters. Here are the snake creatures. And here, Taewon said, pointing to the fourth side, is the 2-legged creature that led us here. Sun Wu nodded slowly. Each side shows a different predator species from Kalar. But what does it mean? Minji continued to study the symbols. I think it's showing how they all interact, how they share the planet without wiping each other out. Balance, Taewon said. Each species has its place, its role, just like on Earth, long ago, Minji added, before humans became the only apex predator. Sun Wu pointed to the top of the pyramid. There's something there. We need to climb up. The sides of the pyramid had small ridges that made climbing possible. Carefully, they made their way to the top. There they found a flat platform with a circular stone in the center. The final puzzle, Taewon said. The circular stone had 4 indentations, each shaped differently. One looked like the footprint of the large 6-legged predator. Another resembled the paw of the pack hunters. The third had the shape of the snake creatures. The fourth was shaped like a handprint with 4 fingers, matching the 2-legged creature. I understand now, Minji said. Each predator species on Kalar has learned to live with the others. They compete, but they also cooperate when needed. They've found balance. And the Senate wants to know if humans can do the same, Taewon added. So what's the answer? Sun Wu asked. Taewon looked at the stone, then at his own hand. I think I know. He placed his hand in the center of the stone, covering all 4 indentations at once. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the stone began to glow with a soft, blue light. The entire top of the pyramid slid open, revealing a small chamber below. Inside was a simple communication device and a single message in the common language of the Galactic Senate. Trial complete. Signal when ready for extraction. Taewon pressed the button on the device. Within minutes, they heard the sound of a ship approaching. The Senate vessel landed at the edge of the clearing, its door opening to reveal Senator Young Mi waiting for them. You have completed the trials of Kalar, Young Mi said as they boarded the ship. The Senate has watched everything. And what have they decided? Taewon asked. Young Mi's expression remained neutral. The High Chancellor will deliver the Senate's judgment when we return. Rest now. You have earned it. As the ship lifted off from Kalar, Taewon looked back at the planet through a window. He understood now what the trial had really been about. Not whether humans could survive against dangerous predators, but whether they could understand the delicate balance that allowed different species to coexist. Earth had lost that balance long ago, but perhaps humans could help maintain it in the wider galaxy. 3 days later, they stood once again before the Galactic Senate. The vast chamber was completely silent as High Chancellor Do-hyun rose from his seat. Ambassador Tae-won Kim of Earth, the High Chancellor's voice echoed through the room. The Senate has reviewed your performance in the trials of Kalar. We have reached our decision. Taiwan stood tall, with Sunwoo and Minji at his sides. Throughout your time on Kalar, you faced 4 different predator species. You could have killed them. Many expected you would. Instead, you observed. You understood. You found ways to coexist. Do-hyun's 4 eyes seemed to look directly into Taewon's soul. Now we understand why Earth has no predators but humans, not because you killed them all, not because you are unnatural super predators, but because your greatest strength is not your claws or teeth or physical power. The High Chancellor spread his forearms wide. Your strength is your minds, your ability to work together, to solve problems no individual could overcome alone, to adapt to any challenge without resorting to simple violence. That is why Earth has only one apex predator, Do-hyun concluded. And that is why, by unanimous decision, Earth is now welcomed as a full member of the Galactic Senate. The chamber erupted in sounds of approval from hundreds of different species. As Taewon looked around at the alien faces, he no longer saw fear or suspicion in their eyes. Instead, he saw something new: respect. Earth had passed its greatest test, and humanity had found its place among the stars. The end.